Online Privacy Act, an act that started well intended, but came out to be one of the biggest scandals of the UK. What seems to be the worst idea of Great Britain after the death of Queen Elizabeth used to be presented as the best act to save children from exposure from, for example, pornographic websites or other harmful websites on the internet. Well, did it work as intended? Most for all, no it didn't. People are furious about this. People are comparing this act to the next step to Kim Jong-un's regime. People are calling this an attack on democracy. And for a good reason, people are seeing this act as an absolute end to their online privacy. But let's start at the beginning. What is this act exactly? The Online Safety Act, as it was presented to be the best way to keep children away from harmful things on the internet. Sounds good so far, but how can we do that? Well, it's pretty easy. You just have to send any website you want to access your passport, your age, your phone number, your email address, your current location, 1 or 2 blood samples, your liver to prove that you're an actual human, and a letter from your psychiatrist. On most websites you will have to present your passport and a personal picture of yourself. That means if you want to watch some funny videos on TikToks, for example, you'll just have to send them your passport and a funny video of you swinging your phone from left to right like this. And because that is, like I already told you, not only for example pornographic websites or websites that promote 18+ content, you will have to do it on nearly any social media platform, or the social media platform have to make themselves completely PG-13. Well, that limits the privacy just a little. And how did the population react to that? VPN users are rising 1400% to the top. In an instant after the act came out, apps that provided VPNs were the most downloaded apps in the UK. Well, let's see, let's guess I'm under the age of 18 and I want to see things on, for example, TikTok or Instagram. What is there that I could possibly watch without giving my personal information? Well, not the news apparently, because the news is getting censored as well. Well, that is quite unfortunate. First they go for the porn and now they go for the press freedom. Well, I'm 15, 16 and I can't even go on my favorite subreddit, Satire, because they apparently closed it because it is too harmful for children. It's a subreddit about apple wine. Apple wine. And apparently I can't watch the news. What is there that I can do? Well, I can watch some ads promoting alcohol and gambling. Because apparently there is no restriction for gambling ads. There is a restriction, a small one, for alcohol promotion. You can, for example, promote alcohol on public events, but you can promote gambling. And pretty much everywhere else you can promote alcohol as well. And the best part about this is, you can pretty much drink alcohol under, I think, 15% if there is an adult and you are 16 years old. That means if you have a friend that is above the age of 18, he can just give you a drink if you're only 16. Well, I can't say from personal experience as my head suffered pretty much a little more from politics than from alcohol, but I do mind if my iCloud photos are leaked. Well, think about that, how did the companies react? Because there is a pretty much 50-50 chance if the company is accepting this act or not. If they are not accepting this act, they will have to pay some £1 million and will not be able to promote their site or their app in Great Britain anymore. Some applications did accept, some websites didn't. For example, Reddit, Instagram, YouTube, and most of the big guys did accept it. 4chan, for example, did not. There are problematics on both sides. For example, 4chan lawyers claim they have no right to do that because they're stationed in the US. Wikipedia says they will not censor anything and will not make it mandatory for readers to prove their age like this. Wikipedia says, for example, that if they keep going like this, they will just shut down their site in the UK. Companies that did accept it did mostly too much. For example, Twitter or Reddit, whom, for example, shut whole servers that are pretty much not in the need of age verifications. Is this all actually a threat to online privacy? Maybe, but are there any options that the government could actually do except for this new act? I mean, they also claimed that 80% of the population are actually for this act, which is not actually true. 80% of the population were mostly voting for a new act to save children from exposure for example, pornographic websites. And only 14% of the voters were actually ready to submit their personal data in order to obey this act. And are there any options? Of course, there are more options. You could simply just copy Nintendo or Sony, for example, what they are doing to their console. They could just simply tell companies like Apple or Samsung to produce their homes with an integrated children mode. This could also be done with a software update. You could just put this phone as a parent in this children mode and personally either activate or deactivate any website that you want your child to see or do not want your child to see. Or you could co-produce a phone for children yourself as a government and give advice to the parents of their children to give them this specific phone with the children options. Because child protection is most of all not in the hands of the government, rather than in the hands of the parents. And I would pretty much guess that there are many phones that already have these children safety options, but they are not very populated, I would guess. Well, I think it was pretty obvious that I see this as one of the worst things the UK could have done. And as always, critique is pretty blah. I will accept any form of rational critique. This is my first long video in English, I would guess. And until then, we will maybe see you in the next video.